Salve a tutti e bentornati su The Council. Oggi andremo avanti, il nostro obiettivo per questo episodio è indagare sulla morte di Miss Adams. Quindi, direi di cominciare a muoverci. Da cosa qui? Giustamente non si è buttare sotto, vabbè. Qui non mi sembra ci sia niente, prendemi le scale. Allora. Un'occhiata in giro come al solito, ma sembra ci sia niente rilevante. Possiamo guardare anche nelle stanze degli altri. Qualcosa troveremo.
Golden elixir, consumed without
Elisir
excess.
dorato.
A few leaves out of an old
Vecchia
encyclopedia.
enciclopedia. Sempre comodo. Facciamo una chiave semicircolare. Oh, se utile da qualche parte. Non da niente. Allora, di chi è sta camera?
Sur Jacques Perru.
La Jacques però. Cominciamo da questa, va? È lui.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut the
that...
crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
Usiamo questa qua, non ha un bel aspetto.
It's never too late, sir. If you have something to say, now is the time.
You don't understand. Everything's already written. It's over.
Why is he behaving like the perfect culprit? What is it that's already written? I'm not sure I follow you.
No, you don't.
Ti capisco.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions.
Io da quest'altro. Allora. Allora, dove sta Jacques però? Quando la verità psicologica già però le padre di Parigi. Quanto il periodo del terrore diventa ogni volta che l'armato chiama per interrompere qualsiasi attività. E usiamo questa.
Let's get right to it. Are you... Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
Elisir dorato. Per 4. Io ci riprovo.
Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
E ho finito.
Goodbye, sir. We shall meet again.
Probably.
A pattern with 4 circles.
Io ho 4 cerchi. Però ho una nuova chiave, quindi non posso aprirla.
Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests.
Da qua. Così ci rivedremo. In questo momento sono prigioniero del padre delle decisioni. Devi essere protetta senza vedere per alcun futuro, ma tu puoi essere ancora salvata. Non importa quanto ancora tu possa. Non ti sapere. Mio amore è per sempre. Ce l'hai. Devo sbloccarlo. Vai via. Dai qui. Non c'è ceppa di niente. Riparte.
Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris. It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris. And there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around.
Ok, ho scoperto un'altra cosa. Che c'ha? Fammi vedere, fammi vedere. Giacche Perù, che c'hai? La scopri. Non ho scoperto niente. Qui che ci sta? Chiave con i 4 cerchi. No, mo non apri quello lì allora.
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. A boat.
Sta lì. Allora, torniamo da là.
A pattern with 4 circles. Dear Monsieur Peru, I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. These funds will be crucial for the renovation of the western wing of the orphanage.
Questo manda
The
i
children you
casi.
sent. All right, I've retrieved everything. Dear Monsieur Peru, I'm writing. All right, I've retrieved everything.
Riparliamo con questo tizio.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions.
Tanto come dire di no. Ok, ho trovato questa letta, parliamo.
I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Non devo fare nient'altro. Mi sembra ci sia altro. Questa mi è bloccata. La lettera non mi ha detto niente. Non è chiuso. Altro giro, vediamo un po' chi è il prossimo. Napoleone Bonaparte. Ciao Napoleone.
dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. It's a beautiful weapon. A lovely damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles. A bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier. The Prince by Machiavelli. A perfect read for anyone with a surfeit of ambition. That might come in handy.
Potrebbe tornare utile. Vediamo tutto quello che troviamo e poi parliamo con Bonaparte. Io non posso commentare niente di quello che c'ho. Vabbè. Certo troviamo un giro. Poi parliamo con Napoleone, eh?
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you.
There's just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
Scoperto niente. Non ci sta niente. A parlare con lui, va? Non ci sta nient'altro. Andiamo a parlare con lui.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Allora, sentiamo con chi.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaggi as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight, so I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really. No. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave. Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
Non volevano insegna niente. Pure qui ho fatto un giro a volo.
Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
Poi mi dice stava lui, ma parliamo tutte.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace.
Ed è importante.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language and all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least une partie of it. A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with him. Two coils circle the lock. A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention.
Non ho trovato niente di... Posso cercare?
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times. No doubt she suffered greatly.
9 times? What monster is capable of such a horrible thing? Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Allora c'era una cosa per vedere le abilità. Vediamo questa.
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for...
Dear E.
Trovato nada.
King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Direi che qui le stanze sono per giro, ma...
Duke Manuel Godoy.
E chi è questo?
Huh, that's me.
Ma penso che nella mia effettivamente chiusa.
Monseigneur His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi.
Sembra. Quindi... E niente.
President George Washington.
Che... Questo c'è ancora meno dell'altri. Ammazza, questo c'è davvero meno dell'altro.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have...
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
Mi mancano abilità qui, però non si può fare così.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Are you all right, Mr. President? Are you feeling all right?
Oh, don't worry. It's this rotten toothache. What do you expect? I'm no spring chicken now.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Perry, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Aspetta, no, non mi apre fare vedere.
Greetings, Louis.
Posto.
I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
In questo momento non ho trovato niente. È importante, lei. L'ultima stanza possibile. Qui ci si capisce la mazza. Che sei tu? La conosco.
Good day, Monsieur de
Cosa non è
Richet.
morto?
Mr. Volner, are you
Mr.
looking
Volner.
for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
I'd have thought this is not really the shortest way to get to your suite.
Yes, I wasn't really looking where I was going. I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
cadavere lo potevano togliere.
There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. She had the Sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death.
Sbagliato cosa?
It looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. What a strange smell. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos. similar to those on the rest of her body.
Altro.
The clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of...
Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
A chest with a half-circle pattern. An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe. The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. Knocked over bottle of wine. What plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Briand. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable.
Vediamo un po' se mi colore in bocca. Lo riconosciamo, eh?
I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. What a strange smell.
Niente, pensavo che avesse sbloccato l'odore, ma invece niente. Sento l'orologio.
clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Potrebbe essere, ma ci mancano I mezzi per indagare. La vedo dura, ragazzi, qui ci mancano molte nozioni per indagare.
A notebook written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. June 11th, 1791. My dear. A notebook written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light.
Napoleone.
A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. "3rd of November, 1791. My dear..."
Vedere che non c'è più niente per me.
A novel of the initiation of a young woman into polite society.
E la che c'è qua?
Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. Color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground.
I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room?
Ah, non lo so, se non lo sai tu, Chicco, no, certo non posso saperlo io. Direi che ormai qua non c'è più niente da fare. Ma che palle da parlare per forza con questo.
Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Ok ragazzi, io direi che per questo episodio ci fermiamo qui. Continueremo a indagare sulla morte di Elizabeth Adams anche nel prossimo. Io vi ricordo che se volete iscrivervi, cliccate sulla campanellina per restare sempre aggiornati sui prossimi video. Like se il video vi è piaciuto, dislike se il video non vi è piaciuto. Vi ricordo che qualunque cosa volete dirmi su questa saga che stiamo facendo insieme potete lasciarmi scritto nei commenti. In descrizione trovate i link per seguirmi su Facebook, il gruppo Facebook ufficiale del canale, Twitter ed Instagram. Io vi saluto, vi ringrazio e vi do appuntamento al prossimo episodio.